Uncut Gems, Dave.
This is
Oh
how
my
I win.
God. You having a good time? Yeah, yeah. Man, Adam Sandler, dude. So, the Safdie brothers, most recent Robert Pattinson, and that was just one of them, right? The other one was in it. I always get them confused.
Yeah, Benny was in Good Time. Yep.
Right. And did Josh direct it? Is that
They both still directed
they
it. Yeah.
both? Oh, okay,
Mhm.
gotcha. Um, so this movie had a lot of hype coming out around it. You know, you have Sandler in a serious dramatic role. The trailers were awesome. It just looks like a cool movie in general. You know, this guy with this gambling problem, KG's involved. Um, it seems and kind of what I got from the trailer and what the sense I got from the movie is uh, Howard, played by Adam Sandler, is just all id. Like he has nothing that like holds him back. He's just constantly looking for like that pleasure center of his brain, that excitement, that dopamine rush. He's just constantly looking for that thrill, that high. And that's really what
Mhm.
you get with this movie. Is it feels like you're on this crazy high throughout it, but this like almost anxiety producing high throughout the whole thing.
Mhm.
And it was quite a ride, man. What was your experience in the movie theater with it?
Yeah, no, it's a really tension laden, stressful viewing experience. And I think that's especially the case when you're in a captive audience in a theater. Um, yeah, I think that's probably what's so great about it is just the way it maintains the thrill the whole time, especially when nothing is super out of left field in the plot, whether that's the ending or anything along the way. Yet the way it maintains the tension and with the performances being so good, the way they anchor that down, it's a really special movie.
You know, one of the parts about it's Daniel Lapidin, better known as Onitrix Point Never, I think has such an impact on this movie because music plays such a significant role on the feeling of this movie. You know, it basically starts off with this like 45-minute, like very light, fun score for like the whole opening. It's like kind of crazy, but then it slowly like kind of dives into this like intense anxiety producing like really like almost like violin screeching type feel to it. And um I feel like the score of this really drives the thrill of it because I mean I felt everything I was supposed to feel in this movie, and I felt like the score was like pushing me along the way. It was pretty amazing. How did you feel about the score in general from this?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it there. It's really choice, really kind of tactful use of music to move the plot along. It's not as in your face as say like parts of Interstellar or something. You know, it's
Right.
sometimes it's subtle, but yeah, that really worked. And then you have like more obvious musical cues when you have literally The Weeknd playing his 2012 stuff. You know, um,
Mhm.
he was actually pretty good. And of course, Kevin Garnett
Yeah.
is really good and looks he looks exactly like he did back then because he's so in shape.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's a cool movie. There's so much to it, you know, and Julia Fox,
Oh
total
man.
ingenue, total out of nowhere, and she's like a star. Obviously, she's
Yep.
incredible in the movie.
Yeah, and they found so many people that aren't well-known actors or aren't even actors at all
Yeah,
going into this that took on major roles. Like the muscle guy. I don't even know if we get his name, but the one who shoots him at the end. It's just some
yeah,
like tough
it's
guy
just
that they found in like New Jersey somewhere.
mm-hmm.
Like you need to be in this movie, or those two like Jewish guys who they gave the fake watches to, and you know
Yep.
though that's just like a guy that they like knew and his brother, and they're like, oh, you guys are perfect for this movie. Like the vision to like cast these sort of people
Yeah,
and have it fit in the movie and not like horribly derail it, I think is just very impressive. What else about the movie did you like?
yeah. Well, it has an amazing New York identity. Obviously, the
Yeah.
Safdie brothers are New York to their core, and having this movie take place in Manhattan and Jersey and all that, and obviously the Diamond District's the main focus, and it's just New York by New Yorkers. It's really cool, and kind of has an identity. You also have the other side of that being a lot of Jewish characters in the movie, a lot of Jewish stuff going on.
Yep.
It's yeah, culturally, it's just really really cool. And then like having Adina Menzel be Howard's like estranged wife.
Yeah.
Don't really think of her as a normal dramatic actress as much. I usually just kind of think of her for like singing "Let It Go" and stuff like that. But
Yep.
she was good too. Yeah, man, it's and Garnett too. I mean, Garnett. You listen to the Safdies talk about how they made this movie and they worked on this script for years and years and try to get this made every time they got even a little bit of cachet as they were making movies. And at one point it was going to be Amari Stoudemire. At one point it was going to be Kobe Bryant. For a while it was going to be Joel Embiid. The way they kept changing the script to accommodate which athlete they were going to use in this movie is just a really cool idea to see how talented these guys are. They can adapt on the fly like that. But also Garnett's, it was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And
so good.
And like honestly, like I think when I was just sitting there towards the end, and I'm watching Howard watch his parlay win at the end with Garnett, and I'm like, I know the Celtics win this game. I'm a basketball fan. I already know they win in 2012. I know the result, and I'm still like having my heart beat out of my chest because he's so great at keeping that going.
Yep.
And like you can't deny that.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, the ability that this movie has to like get your heart rate up. Like I wish I had looked at like my watch afterwards, which tracks my heart rate, because I know it definitely spiked a couple times. I was leaning forward, like rocking a bit in like the last like portion, especially seeing like Julia Fox trying to like run away from those guys, like the scene where they're like he's throwing the money out the window and then they hold him out the window and shake him down. It's all so stress inducing, and he's always just like on the edge of like being killed, like getting the shit beat out of him, and like he lives on that thrill, that plays that part so perfectly because he has this like neuroticism that I think fits the character so well. But I was actually wondering because I think when he didn't get nominated for like the SAG Awards or for the Golden Globes, people were a little bit disappointed. Do you feel like this is a performance that's worthy of getting a spot in an acting, an Oscar acting category that is already pretty stacked? Like, do you feel like he's up there?
Well, I think that's the problem. It's because it's this year or 2019.
Right.
He's like 7th place in a 5 nomination race. And he's going up against guys that are just as famous and talented as he is, if not more. So it's just kind of bad timing for Sandler. And, maybe if this movie came out a month earlier, it might have been able to get more momentum and perhaps get a Golden Globe nomination, and maybe that would have mattered. But it's a busy ass race, man. Like Eddie Murphy might not even get the Oscar nomination. Yeah. So it's unfortunate because like Sandler does this like once every 10 years. He's like, by the way, I can do dramatic stuff. I'm really talented. I usually just like getting my, mediocre Netflix bag, but I can do this. And like that would have been sick. But yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, especially because like you said, he is, I think, outside of that top 5. And I think about like the scene where he's kind of like breaking down and starts crying, and Julia's like oh, I want to show you the tattoo I got. This will make you feel all better. And he's like, I'm such a piece of shit. Like, like that part, like it kind of lost me a bit. And I felt like when he was playing like the shitbag who's just like trying to like always like spin a deal or get one by on somebody, I really bought it. But then when it came to like those more emotional moments, I don't know if it necessarily hit as much. And I think that's like, if I had to make one knock against the performance, that would be it for me. But still, I mean, like, I love when Sandler decides to just like put these like acting chops on, because then you're like, man, this guy is so much more talented than he actually like allows himself to be at times. Like there, he, like you said, he can just get the bag, like make those stupid comedies that are pretty low brow for the most part, or he can like throw himself into these roles and just absolutely crush it. It's really just amazing to kind of see him play
Mhm.
those two dynamics. I wanted to ask you real quick, how'd you feel about Mike Francesa in this movie?
Oh, he was really good.
Yes, the Pope.
That's the stupidest fucking bet I ever heard of.
Let's talk about some popes, but this is the real Pope. The way he says that's the stupidest fucking bet I've ever heard. Like, so good. Really, just the casting that's so inspired.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah.
And man, he's so fantastic in this movie. Like the way that he just kind of plays this, like, I don't even know the right way to put this, like, con man, I
Yeah.
guess. Like,
Well,
how would you describe him?
well, there's like a specter of like menace to him the whole time. You always expect him to do something worse than he ends up doing. And I think that's just the way the character is written and the way Lakeith plays it. But like, yeah, he was really, I think, really important to the movie, you know, both just kind of being the in between Howard and KG, but just kind of the presence he has and his relationship or lack thereof with Howard was really, really great.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And a scene I think he absolutely kills, and a scene that really stands out to me from the movie is the Weeknd's performance. Not only by the stylization of the shots in that scene,
That
you know,
orange
where
jacket.
yeah, the orange jacket and how Julia's wearing like the white, and out of all the people in there, they're the two that like stand out when the black lights go on. I thought that was so like smartly done, and just a shot that's like burned into my memory from this movie. But the way that he just is like kind of like sulking around the room in that, and like then they have that interaction where, you know, how it's like, what the fuck, man, like, and then he just like is so like calm, just like, you know, what's his name, like Demaney or something like that, is so
Yeah.
calm, and then you can tell underneath he's like seething, and then they start like going back and forth, and I'm like, man, I would not fuck with this guy. Like, Howard's got some balls to be going after this guy, but goddamn,
Right.
Lakeith Stanfield, like you said, menacing's a good word for it.
Yeah. You know, also thinking of that scene, once Howard and Julia have that fight and Howard goes away in the car, and Julia's like walking back, and like she like yells to people in line, like what the fuck are you looking at? And some girl yells back, nothing
Not
much.
much. Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, that's why you're fucking waiting in line.
Yeah.
Like the cadence to that like really brief moment I thought was so fucking fire.
Yeah. It's a great like little touch to like add that like New York feel, because that's a definitely an interaction you would see like waiting outside a bar or a club in New York City, for sure.
No doubt.
I don't know. Any other thoughts on this movie? There's so much to like about it. If people are unsure if they should see this, I mean, I can't really think of a reason not to, unless you just like don't want your heart rate to get up.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we mentioned the tension. I just wanted to call out those moments towards the end where like there's like this fake outs where like, oh, Howard's gonna get fucking got or kidnapped or something. It doesn't happen. Like when he takes the garbage out, when he goes back to his apartment, nothing happens. But you're just like sitting there waiting for something to happen and it never does, you know? Yeah. I thought all those kind of scenes worked really well. Also, I made an interesting observation. So Uncut Gems currently has made 36 million here in the States, no international release yet. That's good for third most for an A24 release ever. It's only about 13 million behind Lady Bird here in the States. So it's going to do that. It's going to become the highest grossing A24 release ever here, which is interesting because this movie has a weak cinema score and a weak Rotten Tomato user rating. It's almost like none of that shit matters.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I've seen a lot of people giving bad scores because they went to go see a Sandler movie, not knowing what kind of Sandler movie it was. Imagine bringing your kid to see this, be like, you want to go see,
I mean, it's rated R.
Sandler movie, right? But like, man, just it's a funny thought to me. Before we wrap up, I did want to ask you, how'd you feel about the way it ends with like Howard getting got and just taking a bullet to the head and Julia getting the money? How did you feel about that?
It's the only way it could end. It had to end that way. He couldn't get away with it.
I was still shocked.
Oh yeah, that was shocking. In the moment, I was like, "Fuck, dude!" And the way like the camera pans down, spins as he falls, and the music starts. It's like it's really picturesque.
The part when he's like, he won the tip off. That's the hardest part of the fucking bet. And the guys are just like sweating in that box and staring at him. I was like, oh, no. There's no way this is going to go well for you, dude. But man, what a joy. Uncut Gems. I think we'll be talking about when we do our best movies of the year pod for sure. So stay
Mm-hmm.
tuned for that.